So as you can see, I have a triangulated line mesh here. Actually, let me bring this up a little bit. And I just wanted to show how you can transfer the fur to a different geometry that has totally different topology. Don't forget that we also need to bring this into our VDB. Okay, so if I view this grouping, it's completely messed up because the point order is totally different. So I will have to reselect this. Luckily, in this case, it never had to be too precise. Okay, and then what I want to do is I'm going to take this guy, which was the last mesh that we exported with the maps on it. And if I view this by middle mouse clicking, you'll see I have all the attributes on here. And I want to transfer this to the new geometry. And since it's in the exact same position, I can transfer it based on point distance. So to do that, I will use an attribute transfer node and then in here, oh, hold on, did I do this backwards? So the first node is the geometry to transfer attributes to, which is the new triangulated one that we want. Okay, and thing. Okay, so now if I grab an attribute wrangle, oops, and I view this guy, you can see it's transferred that map. And let's see if it transferred the group okay too, actually. And no, okay, so it only transferred attributes. So let's plug this back into here. Okay, we're good. And that's now being fed back into this and back into all our maps. If I go here, you'll see, oh, it's really messed up. And if I recache the strokes, oh, sorry. So, sorry. Since we already have these here, we don't want to overwrite these values. So we're going to plug them into here. And then if I recache the strokes, that is what I want. And you may have to clean up certain parts, like as you can see here, but it does a pretty decent job. And thankfully, because it is painted on points rather than say UV space, it's a lot easier to transfer. Of course, if there are parts that you did paint solely in the UV mode, you may have to clean up more. But that is how you transfer the maps. And then once I go through and clear recache all the strokes on these guys, I will version up this from tutorial version 4, save to disk, update this here, and in our guide geometry, oops. So these are the original guides, and it's still using the curves from the guide advect, which is good. and the guide groom, we also want to recache the strokes. And, you know, if this isn't working or your hair isn't rendering, you really need to make sure that the roots of these new guides are sitting on this new surface. And again, this is why I like to export the guides out as backup just in case. And in this case, I already had it set up on the tail, which I'll show you. It's very similar to setting up the eyelashes. So I had the alembic curves exported, and I'm selecting the root position of the guides, fusing it to the skin. You should be able to see it snap somewhat. So that's the difference there. Creating a new rest position. Guys, gain attribute lookup, and then from there you can just add all the regular guide grooming nodes afterwards. Just really handy. And you know, this is great too if you don't feel comfortable grooming with the tools in Houdini. It is slightly clunky. Maybe you're more comfortable grooming curves in XGen or even ZBrush. You can always just export alembic curves from whatever package and hook them up this way and continue working that way. You're never stuck. If you had to blow away the guides, you're not going to lose all the stuff you've done on the fur. If the geometry is completely different, no, let's say it is, let's use a peak saw. Let's say it's the same topology, but different position. So let's say I could still blend shape between them. I'm just inflating him. He looks like he's been stung by a bee. It's very similar, but in this case, instead of an attribute transfer, I'm going to use copy attribute, because this will copy it based on point order. So the geometry to copy attributes to, that's this guy. And again, from the last maps we did. And if sorry, I need another attribute wrangle. No, I can't type. Okay. Attribute. Okay. If I middle mouse click here, it didn't transfer anything. So let's star this. Ooh. And oh no, is it crashing? Okay, it didn't crash, but I just added to transfer everything except for the P point position, and you'll see now we have all these maps here. And then if I go here, oh no. Okay, no wonder why that exploded. Okay, sorry. Let's use, nope. Okay, there. So this is the quad mesh, which is what we want to transfer the maps from to the exploded mesh. There we go. That's also why it exploded here, because I couldn't blend shape between the two. Okay, so again, the attribute copy will work only if the two meshes are the same. And then now if I view here, you'll see it's transferred that map, and then the same thing, I would plug this, I would plug this new mesh also into the VDB, and then plug this through the maps, go through and recache all the strokes and save out a new one here. So I'll just do that quickly and pause the video. Okay, and if I go into the guides, you'll see they've disappeared. Again, I just have to recache the strokes, and you can also, okay, there we go. So now it's on this new mesh here, and it's all working. Woohoo! But you can also transfer the guides with guide transfer, and this will transfer the guides based on UVs. And again, you could use the guide deform node, which is exactly the same one as out here, but you just need to specify the geometry source input. So say this is your new skin. Hold on. So this is the target and we have the source skin. So maybe you bring an alembic of that old maps that you painted, or you can use a object merge to search within your scene from the body mesh to grab it from, and then you plug in the guides here. That's a way to guide transfer. Again, this one's by UVs, if the UVs are the same and topology is different, and this one topology has to be the same. And if I go to the tail, luckily, because you can recache the strokes, you can see the tail, what happened. It's kind of cute though. Recache. You should be able to save what you did. There's always a way to save and transfer. It can just be a bit painful sometimes and kind of confusing as well. If you've got a mesh with different topology and different shape, then sometimes you need a mesh that's you can transfer back and forth between, like maybe that new mesh with different topology and different shape. You have new topology that matches the old line that you transfer that to, and then because that can blend shape to the new mesh, then it transfers easily. Anyways, it's always a mess and a bit of a headache, but luckily it's procedural and you don't lose too much work.